Maze, well, it said that up there, didn't it? Moral Maze. We discuss issues of life and sexuality and right and wrong and good and bad. Take us up just a few moments of each show on a Monday. Jack Fonseca from Campaign Life Coalition joins us, and we'll begin with a video that involved a bit of humour, but rather reflected quite beautifully the status of contemporary society. Play it, please.
Recently, there's been a lot of talk about abortion laws in this country, with new laws being passed in Texas. It's got a lot of the pro-choice people up in arms. I came out to a college campus, and I'm going to find out if people are willing to sign my petition to legalize fourth trimester abortion. Now, if you don't know what fourth trimester is, that's after the baby is already born. Yeah. Take it all. We're just trying to get people to sign a petition to legalize fourth trimester abortion. We believe it's a child and a choice. Can you help us out today? All right, thank you so much.
Planned Parenthood, I do everything.
Oh, you do? Well, we love Planned Parenthood.
Fourth trimester, that's what,
40 weeks.
40 weeks?
So yeah, you can help us out today? We believe it's a woman's right to choose, and men in Washington saying you do not get to make the rules about what a woman can do with her body and with her baby.
Okay.
Down with that?
I'm down.
All right, cool.
I think you should decide in the first trimester, you know? It's like, because I don't consider that to be a person, you know what I mean?
Why do you hate women, man? You know, I'm not very religious, but...
Incredibly unfair. It says a bit about the stupidity of university students, I suppose, or whomever they were. I don't think they knew what was going on. But within that, the 2 points I would make. First of all, the obsession with supporting anything that seems to be pro-abortion. But also, there are people who do believe that after birth, if the parents don't like the baby, they should be able to kill it.
Yeah, I think this video was hilarious. I mean, it was done to the tune of "Hush, Little Baby, Don't You Cry," and he posed as a pro-choicer, and so they were comfortable answering, signing his petition.
Yeah.
And but it was very clever because it showed that the pro-choice mentality is built on ignorance. And I actually disagree with you a little bit because I think they did know. If you read the petition, it says.
They didn't read the petition.
Well, there's segments there where he explained it's after birth, and they signed it anyway. So a lot of the people did know what they were signing, and it just shows that these pro-choicers there were lemmings. They were mindless sheep, willing to sign their name to any murderous idea that comes along.
I think you're being too harsh there. I think you're being. I think there are fools on both sides of the debate and clever people on both sides of the debate. But I think here we've developed a culture where people don't think about things. If the word abortion is involved and they're pro-abortion, they'll sign anything. I don't think many of them believe in killing babies after birth.
Well, but the point is that because they were presented with the pro-choice slogan, the women's rights slogan, they were prepared to support the idea.
That's right.
Even though they were told this is post-birth. A lot of them knew it.
Well, they were told fourth trimester. You ask most people, what's a trimester? And they'll look at you as though you've just spoken to them in Swedish. They won't really know what you mean. But Peter Singer, I mentioned his name before, a noted ethicist, there's irony for you, he does believe if after birth the parents don't approve the child, they,
And that's another clever part of this video. What it does, it shows in a clever way, in a humorous way, that the logic of abortion that says the reason we justify abortion is because a baby is using the woman's body without her consent. Well, that very same logic is even stronger in the case of infanticide, because a pregnant woman, she's got both hands free. She can go wherever, whenever she wants. But when you're breastfeeding and changing diapers, you can't do that.
My kids use my bank account without consent. So that's similar. Now, we discussed this last week. We had Barbara Kay on the show. Canada should follow UK and block internet porn by default. A Tory MP in Manitoba says we should do the same, as the British are proposing. I'm mixed about this one. On the one hand, yes, it would be a wonderful thing if, look, adults can do what they want to do within the law. I mean, I'm a libertarian when it comes to that. It's young people seeing this crap. This is the problem. But I think they'll see it anyway. And I do have issues with such state intervention, because the state is seldom on the right side,
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, pornography is a terrible thing, and it's the most evil thing about the internet, is that it's made porn widely available even to children. And I know of a family with a 9-year-old boy who started watching porn. They weren't aware of it, and he's devastated by it now.
How were they not aware of it? Didn't they see changes in his attitude or confused? I mean, I think our kids at 9, they wouldn't have known what it was. It would have been ugly to them. They just would have, ugh.
Well, those things did tip them off, and when they found out, they talked to him, and he was devastated. He said, "Listen, Mom, I can't stop thinking about these things. It's terrible." So I support the notion of blocking, putting internet filters on internet filters on porn to block it. But I'm with you. I don't like the idea of the state doing that, because I guarantee you what will happen next is, first, if they set a precedent that we can go in and block porn, the next thing they'll block is pro-life websites, pro-life content, and especially homosexuality. You know, websites like Courage that help people remain chaste and not engage in that behavior.
I think it'll be gradual, but we must not take away the authority of the parent and the family. It has to be the family that does this, not the state. If you depend on the state, it's not that they're pernicious or malicious as such, but they have certain views that they think are progressive, and they will try and impose them on others. In the UK in particular, we've seen this, where people who criticize on issues of sexuality are censored, may be arrested, spend a few hours in jail. Just briefly, fewer rural doctors willing to perform abortions as health workers face increased hostility in small towns. Now, of course, the pro-choice crowd will say, oh, you see, but they're frightened of being attacked. I don't think it's that. I think that they're frightened of people saying, I disagree with you.
Yeah. The study, I think there's two factors. That's one of them. The study points out that the doctors, many of the doctors reported that they feel isolated. Both professionally, interprofessionally, and in the community. I think it's wonderful. I think that's great. You know, anesthetists and nurses are unwilling to do the abortions. And their colleagues, you know, when they go into the cafeteria and, oh, there's the guy who does the abortions. He chops up babies. Let's sit over there. So this kind of thing is a disincentive, and there's actually abortionists who've quit. I think that's a wonderful thing.
I do too. But I mean, if I'm in a cafeteria and I know someone is, I don't know, a homophobe, for example, you've got a right to be, but I'm not going to sit with you and have a coffee with you. I don't want your company. Well, certain people should be ostracized and isolated.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think the other thing too is ultrasound technology. We now have 3D and 4D ultrasound technology, and I think that explains this shift as well. Because younger doctors, they know they can't lie to themselves and say, well, I'm not really killing a person, I'm just removing a clump of cells. They know.
A pleasure, sort of, as ever. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.